I'll give it to you.
Okay, so we're going to start with basic stuff, which is dead easy and doesn't require any kind of thinking whatsoever. And say you have a web form and you want to edit that. All you have to do is add your new fields and publish it. Don't forget that. And if you're using JavaScript, wherever it's hosted, it will feed through by itself. If not, you have to remember to replace the HTML code. Surprising the number of people that forget that step. If you want to edit an email, so the content of an email, no problem, just change the email. Anyone that's received it will obviously never be sent that one again. Anyone that hasn't yet been sent it will be sent the updated version, as long as you remember to publish the campaign. Where it gets really quite complex is when you want to start changing timers or adding things inside a sequence. And there's what they call the 7-day rule. So if you have a person that's been in the sequence for 6 days and you make a change, they will have that change instantly, regardless of what you do. So if you change a timer to 3 months, they will have that email instantly, or tag apply will be applied instantly, because it's within 7 days. If they've been in the campaign for 8 days, it won't. Does that make
logic behind that?
Logic? You're expecting logic?
Okay.
I can tell you the reason behind that.
Yeah.
So if you had a string of emails and someone's finished that campaign really recently and you add something to the end of it, the assumption is, well, you want people that have been through here to get this content, these people are fairly recent, let's give it to them. But if, say, someone went through that a month ago, Infusionsoft logic is, if you haven't contacted someone within 30 days, they're actually cold and they actually have no longer consented to receive your stuff. So that email probably isn't relevant for them anymore. So that's about the recency, and it's modelled off the very standard, if you just had emails with gaps between them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work if you, for example, have 24,000 people being told about a webinar, and you say on the 1st of October, send them the next reminder to register, and you publish it, and it's on the 25th of September, they're all going to go onto that.
Yeah.
So that's the 7-day, it's sort of a freshness thing. People that are sort of still relevant will still get that content. People that are no longer relevant won't.
And it's a great feature.
It is not a great feature.
No, it's a brilliant feature.
Can I just say that was the best description after Sherry tried to explain that for 2 hours and I just could not get my head around it. That made
So they
sense.
came to $2.
Sorry, this is dummies. I totally missed it.
Okay, so let's go back to the campaign view.
Despite the great.
Sorry.
So we have two people have made a purchase. One of them was 8 days ago, one of them was 6 days ago. So in that campaign, in this follow-up sequence 2, there are 2 people. The one that's been in there for 8 days, any changes we'll make will not be affecting them at all.
Yeah.
The guy that's been in there for 6 days, any changes you make, regardless of what they are, will happen instantly.
No matter where they are.
No matter where they are. So if I was to remove or change this timer to 14 days, we would expect them to receive an email not in 6 days but in 14. Actually, they will receive it as soon as you publish the campaign, because it would have been sent within 7 days.
Okay.
It's complex.
So even if you set the time, the original setting on the time was 14 days,
It's
so
irrelevant.
that they were going to get it in 8 days,
Yep.
now they're going to get it straight away.
Is that something that they're looking to make optional?
No, it's the way that the system calculates what's happening next. So when you republish a campaign, it goes right back to the very first step, and then does each step
So it
concurrently.
sends everyone back.
It just checks whether contacts will stay in this sequence, but it will go and check back and check their history, and check their progression all the way through. They entered that sequence 6 days ago, so boom. It's just the way it works.
So if they were 8 days,
Yep.
then they would experience what you want them to experience.
Yeah.
So-
And if, say, you have this campaign is old, it's been there for a year, and you add a timer, that's not times is in timers. So how many days do we have? Will it let me? So they've been in there for 365 days. What will happen when we publish this?
If they've been there less than 7 days, they'll get it straight away.
Nope. Because you set now the timer to 1 year, and they've been in there 1 year and a day, they're within 7 days of that time. See, this is where it gets really bad. Okay, so everyone looks really confused. So don't ever try and do this. Don't ever try and think about that. All you have to do, so pretend that this is attached to that bucket. Pull out, you can either copy this one exactly, so just control, click and drag, or bring out a new sequence and start from scratch. Make the changes you want in the new sequence. Connect that to that, and delete that one. So you are circumventing the old sequence. So you no longer have to think.
But what about people who are stuck in that sequence?
That will continue. They will do exactly what they've always been supposed to be doing.
Ah, okay.
Exactly as it was set before. So if you want to change timers, you kind of have to lump it.
You can
Live with
leave
it, they'll get it differently.
You can
And
leave
set
that
the new one
sequence.
how you want it to be.
So they're effectively the
last.
legacy
Yeah.
sequence.
So that is the foolproof way of changing sequences, is to not try.
So you should just started with that.
Yeah, you have to know why. So there are some situations where you can't do that, but you just have to be very careful about what you're doing and thinking about when people have entered. And if it's a really old sequence, the best thing you can do is just add something else to the end of it, and everyone will just jump straight through. Comes a new one. And adding goals as well. If you want to add a goal to a sequence that's old, let's just this one will be a tag. Goals are either achieved or they're not. But because of the 7-day rule, if you added a goal which is this tag, if it had happened more than 7 days ago, this won't have any effect whatsoever. Because, especially with tags, when a tag is applied, it's done. And if you reapply the same tag, it has no effect at all. You have to remove it and apply it again. So, if you were to add the tag goal and publish the campaign, if they've had the tag applied within 7 days, they'll go through, and if they haven't, they won't. So, bear those things in mind. But it's best to not try and just do what we did before and pull out a new sequence and replace it and let the old ones just run through.
But what you're saying, sorry, I'm getting lost again, with the goals is you can attach that to the previous
Yep.
sequence.
But they are either achieved or they're not.
Yeah.
So if you sent someone an email a year ago and it was to have, they clicked a link, the fact that they did it a year ago has no effect on the goal being achieved because it now can't be.
Right, so adding that goal in now.
Will only affect people that
they
come into the
don't,
sequence.
nothing happens, they don't go on to the next bucket or
No.
they just sit where they are
They have to still have to have achieved the goal to move forward.
within the last 7 days.
Or live. Any questions? Anyone want to cry?
Can I throw something in?
Yep.
So one of the things that people get stuck with is we've got a bunch of people, say, sitting in follow-up sequence 2. We've got a bunch of customers there, and they've changed stuff around, and the people that are sitting there really shouldn't be sitting there anymore, and they maybe should be a little bit further downstream. And so you want to lift like 100 people up and put them downstream. A way that you can do that. Do you have anything in the sandbox with numbers, people numbers in it? Performance view?
Like this.
Yeah, cool. So let's look at those. Let's say we want to take those 7 people and put them in the bucket. So to the left, Jake,
Which 7
these blue 7, right?
Yeah.
Actually, let's take the 7 people that are sitting in the non-responder sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just go back to performance view, Jake. So we want to find those 7 people. If you hover on that box, you'll see a little blue heads pop up. Click that, that'll tell you who's actually in there. But here's the catch, it shows you who's currently alive in there. And we were actually looking at the orange people, which are people that finished in the last 7 days. So we're going to go down and say their status, we want queued.
All done.
No, we just want queued.
Yeah.
So I just want to pick those 7 orange people up and put them in the bucket. So I've got my list of people now. Now, if I was to stop that campaign sequence, suddenly I'd not be able to find them anymore. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tag them and just call them Christy's awesome group of people. So I often have a tag in my account just called Christy's holding tag, which is a tag I use just to mark people temporarily. So we're going to tag them all crickets, right? So now we have a set, and no matter what we do to them, we know that we could go and look for people with that one identifying tag and we'll find them again. So the first thing we're going to do is tag them. Then we're going to pick them up again, and we're going to say stop the campaign sequence, follow-up sequence. So this is the idea of basically applying a temporary holding tag so you don't lose who those people were. So we go down to Jake, you actually want to build a list of people. Just go back. Because you don't have anyone in that search, you're looking at active, we're looking at queued.
And this is because of the limitations on the reporting to 7 days or 30 days or whatever. So after that period, in that sequence, you won't be able to get to those people. Is that right?
After anyone that's in a sequence and still has things in there still to do will be a blue number. If there's a year-long timer in that sequence, they'll sit there blue for a year. But as soon as someone's done everything that they could do without achieving goal downstream, they'll go orange. And they'll sit orange for 7 days.
7 days.
It's actually unrelated to the timer changing campaigns. It's just a thing to say, look, these people recently didn't really achieve a goal, right?
Or it's when you've only half built a campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not around to finish.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've seen the orange. I just wasn't sure how, when you were saying tag them so you lose them, I wasn't sure over what period.
No, I just mean like, okay, so here's what we're doing. We've got 7 people and we're about to manually pull them out of that sequence.
Right.
But now we can't go into Campaign Builder and say, tell me who's in there, because we just deleted them all out. So we actually need a way to then, once we delete them, go find them again and say, and pick these people up and put them somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so we use a tag to identify those people. So Jake's just gone and picked up those customers and he's going to go stop campaign sequence. It's up a bit.
It's not orange, isn't it?
And now if we look at the campaign, we're going to see that those orange people have gone completely.
Does it matter that you do that? Why wouldn't you just push them into the next sequence?
Well, this is how you push them. Because usually for someone to go into the next sequence, they've got to achieve a goal. So you either manually go and achieve that goal for them, but if it was something like complete a web form, you can't do that for them.
Because for me, what I do at the moment is I push them.
And push sequence.
Sorry?
Is that sequence to them?
I
So you add something downstream.
Correct.
Right, but in this instance, we can't really, because there are goals in between. You could temporarily put a sequence downstream, catch them, and then connect it up. Anyway, so now you can see those 7 people are gone out of the non-responder, so we can't find them. We can't click on the blue heads anymore and see who those people were, but we can go and just do a search for that tag, pick that list up, and say start campaign sequence, blah, blah, blah. So that's sort of one way to move people around. So now you go and do a search for everyone that had that special tag that you used, which was crickets in this case.
Are you able to do that? You know, when you do the search and you have the 7 people and you tag them,
Yep.
you know, you just tag them. Once you've tagged them, once it's been completed, it goes to the screen and it says, you know, you've been successful. And then next to it, it says apply action sequence. What's that for?
Okay, so
Like here, right here. the blue
right.
thing.
So this is a manual thing. If you click on that, Jake, it'll say what you're actually doing to them.
Oh, okay.
So it was to apply cricket. So
Ah.
it's just Infusionsoft telling you what you're actually doing to all those people.
So apply action sequence is not a verb. So that's not like click to apply. It's just the action was applied. That's why.
Anyway, convoluted way, but just if you're picking people in and out of sequences because you're editing your campaigns, here's the top tip: tag that set of people first, something unique. So no matter what, you can go find them later. Even if it's to send them a personal email saying, "Hey, I screwed some stuff up, and you're about to get spammed."
It's a good idea to do in the first place.
Yeah.
Safety is good for that
Yeah.
because you can have it send emails from your email client all that time.
I thought, it's Suzanne here, I thought you could actually just move them straight from that sequence to the other sequence instead of having to stop the previous one.
If you pretend that there are goals in between, then no. The goals have to be achieved.
Okay.
But that's a campaign design,
Yeah.
not a limitation.
So if we, let me just add the goals, it makes more sense. We've got that one. So let's pretend we wanted to move these guys over. So we want everyone in follow-up sequence 2 to end up in this bucket here. The only way we can do that is by stopping this and moving them. Because you don't want to be in the campaign multiple times when you don't have to be.
Unless it's time for a newsletter.
Yeah.
That makes sense, is it?
Yeah, it does.
Jake, do you have any sequences that have actives, choose, and dones?
No. This is the sandbox app,
Ah,
so
okay.
everything's
All right.
and we don't actually use Infusionsoft ourselves.
All right. I just want to show them. It's pretty hard to see what it is.
So what do you want to show them?
If you go into
So do you want a mix of active?
Yeah, I wanted the mix. I just want to explain
Okay.
some of how they can see the difference and how to tell when they went into the sequence and how they left this on the date they left the sequence.
So we need to
Just have to
everyone
put
in
in
there. So let's see. That tag was 1 day past, wasn't it? So let's type that.
It's going back and checking it.
Oh, you do a little thing that says take a snapshot of all the values and put it in a note so I can see what it was. Yep.
Just going anyway. I'll slow it.
There we go.
You got it? Yeah, well done. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I just want to highlight a couple of things that it's handy to know. If you just go and list those people. Okay, now you see here it has a status over here. So when there are a lot of dones, a lot of queues, a lot of actives, you can list them all here and then click on status and you sort them by the status. So if you want to see individually where they are, it's a good way to do it. Okay. The other thing too is when you click on,
So you can click on all these headers.
you
and
can click on all these headers and we'll sort it for you. You may also find that, oh, this is great to know they're here, but when did they enter the sequence? And if it was done, when did they leave? If you go into the edit criteria, you click on columns, you'll find there it is. You have a sequence start date and a sequence stop date, and always remember to click on this. Okay, so now you can see, you've got an accurate picture what their status is, when they went in the sequence and when they went out. And by seeing the blanks here, it'll help you understand what's actually happening with that person. Okay, so I thought I'd just mention that.
So
Handy to know.
if we go back to the campaign, we should have 5 dones now in that.
Yes. No, did they go further down? Okay.
In
I
theory,
took them
there
out
should,
and
be,
put them in here.
there should be 5 dones in this one, because 5 people have done that sequence.
Having what?
Might be wrong. There we go.
Okay, so status, active, 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 done, 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 done. Done means we're done with this sequence and they went somewhere else. So there's a line going after the sequence is somewhere else.
And
That's
the guys in the very last sequence we just put in there, in 7 days will be done.
if it's the last sequence, that's
If
true.
it's the last sequence.
Unless you can see here, this sequence is not done. Handy to know when you're trying to find issues or what's happening with the contact. Right,
Anything else we
Next
can help with?
section.
Anything else we can help with?
Beer time is what
Beer
I'm-
o'clock.
I-
Who
that's-
is really bothered by the time zone issue? Because we can talk about how to get around that before we
Yeah.
Oh, you can get around it?
Not really.
push down.
Perfect.
Okay.
Oh, long day.
Honesty's pretty good.
I mean, you can. It's just not. It's not a big deal. It's arithmetic. Some
So-
of these can't count.
It's pretty much it.
Is it
Right.
Is this before or after daylight savings?
So we've got 3 kinds of timers. Delay is just a non-issue. It's you want it to happen 12 hours later, so you have it happen. If you want it to happen a day later, my advice is to not change everything to hours, make it 24 hours, and have it go between midnight and 11:45. That way, it will only have to be 24 hours and 15 minutes, and they're not going to get an email at 2 in the morning because you forgot to change 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It will go exactly 24 hours, maybe 15 minutes from when they achieve the goal. So if they're on their computer at roughly midday every day fanning around the internet, they'll get the email at the same time they're fanning around the internet the next day, which is a good thing. And people are very habitual in that kind of thing.
It's also a way to solve the international time zone customer issue as well.
Yeah.
Because if someone in America hits it at 3 a.m. our time, they're going to get it at 3 a.m. the next day.
Yeah.
Someone
Like we have people on our list from 19 countries last count, all of them different time zones. So that's delay timer.
Is everyone understanding that? What Jake is explaining? It's very handy.
With date timer, it's a little bit different. You set the date, which is New York time, not Arizona. So we want to go on the 15th. If you're lazy like me and you can't be asked to do the maths, you just go to time zone converter. I see Rich has been there before. So we want to go on I said the 15th, didn't I? It's 15th at 8 a.m. The location is New York. And we're going to go Sydney time. So it's corresponding so it's a 15-hour difference, right? So we have the date timer, and you can't have 2 different timers in the same sequence. So we have a second sequence after it with a delay timer.
You can with different swim lanes, though.
Yeah, but that won't help this one.
No.
So we have 15-hour delay. So now we have the date timer, so when the 15th rolls around in New York, they go into this sequence and they wait 15 hours to get to Sydney time. Does that make sense? With field timers, it is the other way around, I think. What do you think about this one? No, exactly the same thing for field timers. So the field time, the date will always revert to New York. Like if you use appointment calls to set appointments and you try to use Infusionsoft custom fields instead of having them send their own emails, it will go in, when it puts the 15th of October in appointment call, they mean our time zone. It will just think it means New York. So you just add 15 hours on the next bit. So it's annoying, but it's not that big a deal.
The only thing I don't like in this, because I've used it last year, and there is no date, so I actually put a fixed date for my exhibitors to receive an email.
Yep.
And 2 weeks ago, all of those past exhibitors said, "Oh, we don't understand. We thought your event was in November. We're not really." They got completely confused because an email was sent to all of my exhibitors from last year because of that time thing. There's no set date. You know, you can put a date, but there is no year. When you do a field timer,
Field, that's right. Well, it's got years, isn't it? Depends what's in the field. So if it's the birthday, it's the same year every year, but if it was the appointment, it would be the 15th of October 2014. So it depends on what's in the field.
yeah.
So if the field's wrong, then that's what will happen. But with something like yours, I would always keep it as a date time or a field time, because you don't have to update how many 17,000 contacts.
Yeah. No, I think it. Yeah, I thought it would be. It's something that I tried. You know, when you just try it.
So yeah, you just have to have a delay time of 15 hours between any fixed date and the app and the sequence after it. It's a pain in the ass. I've run that, especially when you forget. But other than that, it's not as big as on the user group, because everyone's been so miserable recently. I said, okay, we're going to do a demo of Ozzy's campaign because Ozzy's the champion of positivity. And other than the fact that none of the people who were bitching about the software subscribed, saying yes, I want to watch it. Everyone, so I think only 12 people said yeah, I'm going to turn up. One of the ones that completed the form, 8 out of 12 said time zones was the biggest challenge they've had so far. You can't have 15, really. You're just not trying hard enough if that's the hardest thing you've found.
The other thing is, because you can set the time of your app, it only really impacts in the actual campaign builder. So once you build the campaign, you don't have to think about it again.
Well, it impacts us every day when we're sending emails, where, we send hundreds of emails a month. Every time we schedule them, we do them in batch things. Every time we schedule them,
Broadcast,
like broadcasts, we have to calculate it. That's where the payments from. Every
That's
single time. Yeah.
And also if it's an auto-generated invoice, it's on New York time, and sometimes we get customers come back saying, the date's wrong, can you fix it, because it's wrong for our accounts. So,
So it's more than just,
Just tell them you're in New York.
yeah, we're Australian. We're not amazing
New
dogs.
York, yeah.
Isn't everyone in New York time?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Right, have I got any more questions for Joe before we finish?
Well, it's a question for anyone.
Yeah.
Has anyone done split testing successfully? Because we did it this week, and our newsletter usually takes 5 minutes to send out, and it took 3 days. So we weren't getting it.
Split testing with what?
Plus this.
Oh, I've never actually bothered to use that one. It's not elegant.
Sorry, well, what is it? What's this? What is that?
Plus this is an add-on for Infusionsoft made by one of the founders.
Brad.
It's a brother, the founder's brother. One of the Martinos. And it does a whole load of things. So it can do calculations on fields and split testing of URLs and emails.
Has anyone done split testing?
A/B testing, where you do something a little bit different on one and then you actually get the results.
I mean, automatic split testing, not manual split
What were you split testing? Different
Just
email
the subject
messages?
lines, merely that.
Yes.
Why don't you just do 3 different broadcasts?
Sorry?
Why don't you just do 3 different broadcasts?
We'd have to split it out this manually into 3
Yeah.
of 22,000 people.
Fair enough. So why did it take 3 days? And
That's just how long it took to process. So some people got it in the
Oh, you
first
mean
hour.
plus this, the app took, it's because their servers are shit. Well, it's because their servers are shit.
I guess, do you know of any other options?
You can use
Split
that
testing an
as-
email message.
Yeah, it depends what you want to use as a criteria for the split. If you're sending an email out to people and you want to send a different subject line to people.
Yeah.
But what you can do an A to L to the first sequence, which sends out email one.
Yes,
and
that's manual.
Yeah. Well, no. You set up as an action set, so you just pump it through the campaign. It does all the work for you.
It depends on the criteria you're splitting by.
Yeah, so you have an action set. Well, one of those, I'll do a recording of it, and I'll send it to you if you like.
Are you splitting based on anything in particular, or just the message?
Just randomly.
No, you can, well, my experience is that if you have a larger list, you get around about 50% of surnames that start with A to L, or company names, so your surname, A to L, and M to Z. Give or take 5 to 10%. So you get a pretty accurate split. And with that, you then use action sets to find the first letter of the last name, up into that, or down into that.
Who knows all of the shortcuts for the quick search? Who thinks quick search is really shit?
Who doesn't know what quick search
You
really
mean
is?
This thing up here.
I love quick search.
That's good. Yeah.
A lot of people think it's really lousy. So the way it searches is the first word is always the first name, second word is always the surname. And if you introduce the @ symbol, it looks for an email address. So if you were to search, this is mine, isn't it? So you find everyone that's got Jake Lannis, there's only one. And if you search just Jake, it will bring up all the Jakes. But it also works on first and last letters. So if you search, you can't remember the guy's name, but it begins with a ch. It's CH. And that will be everyone that has first name and last name CH.
So if you put a space in between, so it's
Put a space in between. You can also do, if you can't remember his first name, but you know what the surname is, and you can't do a space with nothing before it, it is either a star or a percentage, space, and then L, and it will bring up Jake Lannis. So
So
or anyone
both
with,
work as a wildcard?
yeah. And you can also do first name, anything, last name, anything, and numbers work too. So you remember that his phone number has a 4 in it. So it's JL with a 4. Well, that's an and.
So what were the wildcards? It was star and percentage? Was
Star
that
and
the-
percentage, yeah. So, Frankie. So we'll find any JL with a number with a 4 in it. What else is there? Oh, if you introduce the @ symbol as well. So you cannot remember my name, but you can't remember my email address, but you know my name is J something at gmail.com. That's not how you spell .com, but you know what?
You need to do the Gmail.
Yeah, it works well. Yeah. So everyone bags on the quick search because they don't know how to use it, and the documentation on it is non-existent. So you cannot find this information in the user guide. It's not there.
Is there a back function? Like you do something and you realise that what you've done is a mistake, you just want to go back.
So that percentage sign is also good if you're searching for blank
No,
values.
that's underscore.
Underscore.
So if you want to find anyone that doesn't have an email address, go to contacts. This one absolutely changed my life when I found this out. I'm so happy. That's the wrong one. We're going to find anyone that doesn't have a phone number. So it doesn't contain underscore. See if it works. So we've got 104 contacts with no phone number. If we want to find anyone that does have a phone number, because we want to do a mob-it campaign, we just do the opposite. So we do contains something. Underscore used to work. Right, I'll double check that one later. Because they're two different systems. So the quick search and the CRM search aren't the same thing. So if you think about Infusionsoft, you have multiple systems. You've got CRM, you've got campaign builder and marketing, you've got email broadcasts, lead scoring, e-commerce if you have it, referral content if you have it. They're all separate systems. So orders is a separate system, opportunities is a separate system, companies is a separate system, which is just retarded. That one they need to change quick. So the reason you can't have order details passed through the campaign builder is because the campaign builder is a contact system, and orders have nothing to do with contacts. So if you think about orders as separate systems, it makes a bit more sense.
Sorry, Jacob, in that interactive view, separate question if I may. In that interactive view, I've tried to add new fields via like email number 2, email number 3 via, I think is it edit criteria columns.
Oh yeah.
To the search output. And then I've tried to add the column, add whatever you want, email address number 2 for example, and I've added it in, looks good, and then it doesn't, then the next day I come back and I search, and it doesn't come up with, okay, so it comes up now, the next day I do it, it doesn't come up with those new emails.
That is, Richard, do you want to take that?
I can normally save if you want to keep it.
Save.
You can save it. So put on save, then you can put a name.
What do you say?
Save to
Save.
Search it, whatever name you give it, will come up on the same searches.
I'm pretty sure it's also the default setting as well.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Because every time you set that, you're setting that for that particular search that you're doing, so you've either got to save it as a search or do again, so set it as a default.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Can you do this, Richard?
No, I'm not familiar with what you're doing, mate.
Setting the default view for the CRM.
I don't know what the numbers is, I don't know if it's.
Maybe it's an app.
So you want to set the default search criteria so it's in there.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere. This is where you change all the labels as well. So if you want optional address to be dropship address or something like that, that's where you change the label name. In this one. Maybe you can't.
Okay.
But yeah, the reason it disappears is because you're doing just that search.
Thank you.
Which is a pain. Anything else?
I'll show a couple of things through.
Yeah.
Actually, while Jake's still up front, Natalie, who normally comes to this group, made me aware of your Automation Academy.
Yep.
Which I wasn't aware of until she mentioned it a couple of days ago.
That Natalie Clough?
Yes.
Yep.
And I would love it if you would talk to what that is.
That's me again.
that would be telling.
Sorry, that's a joke.
I was going to say.
It is, how would you describe it? It's an online learning centre and forum. So like the Infusionsoft Users Australia, but for the automation as a whole.
Right.
So it's not just Infusionsoft, it's also particularly Zapier.
Right.
Then talking about Gmail and other stuff, how it all ties into a whole for your business, how to identify what you need, why you should be doing things and why you shouldn't be doing some things, instead of having like, I can do this, so let's do it. Like think, is there a need and where can I identify where to invest my time and money? And then goes from that to, right now let's build it, and it tells you how to build it.
Right. So it's like a membership site.
Yes.
So it's a membership site, it's a self-serve membership site, because we find that it's actually the same stuff over and over again that we're doing. And so we've basically built a place where you can, people that perhaps wouldn't be consulting clients of ours can go and say, okay, I need to do a follow-up, or I need to do a sales cycle, but instead of having a 1 month sales cycle, I actually have a 2 year sales cycle. So So how should I be spacing that out? What do I put in? What's appropriate? Give you some templates for the kinds of communications I should be using, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
But it's not, we're launching it when I'm speaking at PartnerCon. Jake unfortunately can't come, so nothing's happening until the 2nd of November.
Right.
So right now we've just got
Week
some,
November.
so we've got some cool stuff going on. Like we've got some free Grow social accounts and some bits and pieces that are coming out to build the hype, because the thing is, as much as you guys can jump on and use it, partners around the world can actually get their customers to use it as well. Yeah.
So how do we find it? Oh, that's secret.
No, just their landing
really
page
super
and stuff.
secret. There's a landing page.
Jake
Got
has, I
emails
have an
from
iPad here,
you?
you can, there's an option on the iPad.
Oh, hang on, that's a good point. I've done the roll call here. Keep your name off. If your phone is.
But all this stuff like how to use the quick search is all public domain. And I've got about 30 blog posts to the queue to go out one by one, which is stuff like this. The Infusionsoft are just useless at letting people know this.
The Automation Academy is not like how to do tags, it's how to think about what you're actually doing in your business and then how to actually go and implement that, rather than just talking all day long about,
One little aspect.
you know, how to write an email. I don't know. Sorry.
Okay, what I want to do is just quickly show you some things here. Infusionsoft will tell you not to have more than one instance of Infusionsoft tab. Okay, not true. It's not true. You can have it more than one instance, more than one tab.
Actually, Richard, I love doing that, but recently there's been a bug where if you've had two contacts open.
No, you can't do that. That's not recent.
So
you could never do that. Believe me, I did a terrible mistake a year ago. So that's what I want to do. I just want to explain what you can and can't do. You can have what was your sandbox app name? HC169. This is more to do with productivity and efficiency and the way you use the product more than anything else. But you can see here we've got the application open in this tab and in this tab. Now, so long as what you have on this tab is different to what's on this tab, you'll be fine. And what Chris is talking about is very relevant. You can't have Jake open here. No, I made a mistake there. Go back. Yeah, I always do. It works. Yeah, okay. That didn't work.
There are loads of different contacts in there.
Right, so let's open Jake up, and the quickest way I do that, if I want to leave this list here, is just right click, open a new tab. Okay, so I'll open up a new tab. Okay, now you can make whatever changes you like to Jake's record here. What you can't do is then open up Jake 2 and open up in the new link, because you've now got a contact open in two tabs, and what it does at the back end, it mixes whatever changes you make. So what you may be thinking you'd be changing here, you actually could be changing back here, and also merging other data as well. I thought I was really smart. More than a year ago, I had 15 of them open, and it took half a day to recover. Once I realised what had happened. However, so long as what you have in this tab is different, you're fine. You can be in the dashboard, opportunities, whatever you like. Okay, so it's handy to know, particularly if you have a busy dashboard like I do. It takes 30 seconds to load. I don't want to have to keep going to the dashboard, so I keep that in there. In the dashboard, I'll right click on anything I want to, open a new tab and work in the tab. It can save you a lot of time. Sorry, Chris, here. Had you finished the academy thing?
Yeah.
Have you finished? Okay, cool. Okay.
So I'm just being facetious because Jake's doing all the marketing and I'm doing all the content, so it's like I don't know what marketing.
So if he's doing the marketing, you've got a lot of work to do, because as a marketer, you exceed expectations.
He really has. The opt-ins are
You're a good
insane.
marketer.
I don't even know how he's done them. There's a pop-up.
What's the argument?
No, because usually what happens is you do a form, right? And then you go to a thank you page. And if you were doing a conference, one of the typical things we see is people having an iPad for opt-ins at a conference, right?
Yeah.
And the usual thing is do a form, have a thank you page, and then someone would
To
have to
go
click
back.
through to go
Back to
to
the
show
form.
the next thing. But Jake's done this cool thing where
It'll
I
identify
wonder if this is
email
going to
address.
bounce me not doing a proper email.
Yeah, well,
But it just pops up and says awesome, and when you press the X, it's a reset form. Like, I don't know how to do that. Doesn't exist. I'm sure it's Gravity Forms, but
No,
24th of September, is that okay?
Has it really? Yeah, it's okay. I've got the chance to date for tonight. Okay, guys. Any other questions before we finish up?
anything from Suzette?
Anything from Suzette? You still there? No, she's not.
Sorry, Suzette.
Okay. Next user group meeting is on the 10th of November. Is there any? First of all, is there anyone who'd like to volunteer as a presenter for the next meeting? Anyone like to show us their application and some proud things they've done?
what's the date?
The 11th of November.
We won't be here.
Oh, you won't
We'll be
do that.
drinking margaritas.
Well, you can connect via the live link. Okay.
You'll be there, right?
All right. If there's no
I'll be with
volunteer,
Christy. I'll look after him, Jake.
if there are no volunteer presenters, is there any particular subject you like presented?
Oh,
Otherwise, I'll come up with something random.
I'd love to have a look at reports and reporting.
Oh, it's my favourite.
Oh,
Dashboards.
Well, we don't. If,
Christy is
dashboards
very,
or
very
reporting?
good at reporting, so and talking. So if you can hang on to something, because yeah, it's just,
That's fine. Okay, well, I'll come with something, that's fine. Maybe split.
maybe we should do a
Testing.
comparison launch for that.
Do what's that?
Do a comparison launch for that campaigns.
Do a
Hang on,
comparison on that.
Marcus, do you have anything you can show us next month?
Thought about it.
Well, do you want, let me know?
Yeah,
And we'll talk and-
But reporting would be.
Yeah, get the German to do reporting.
Oh.
Perfect.
I liked it.
That's fine. If no one can do it, I'll do it. But,
Yeah, let's have a chat, yeah.
right, okay, cool. All right, well, I think that brings us to the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Time to pay for a room and then we go to the pub.
what do we give you?
Sorry?
What do we give you?
Between $5 and $10 more. It's about $140.
$12.
$12? 10 to 12, whatever you got.
Can I volunteer a light-hearted way to finish off?
Oh, absolutely.
I was invited